This is Alberta to Arizona. I'm Tracie Gray, your host today. And we've got the stars of the show, Devin Gray up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and Diane Brennan down in Phoenix, Arizona, USA. And they're talking about the differences in real estate between Canada, the United States, and really great topic already. You guys already started well into it. We went, we should be recording. So that's exactly what we're doing right now. Diane, did you want to start?
Sure. Well, I wanted to first.
Let me jump in quickly and say, well, it started because Diane's looking at buying a new Alfa Romeo.
Right. That's where
Oh,
that's where it
yeah.
all began.
Yes. But first, I wanted to tell you guys, I promised you last week that I would wear my Shorzy t-shirt.
I saw that. I was going to mention that, but I
Nice.
figured you would want to bring it up while we were recording, which is great. Yes, I saw that
Yeah.
shirt. It looks very good on you.
Have you guys watched it yet? For those that don't know, Shorzy is a spinoff from the Letterkenny popular cult classic TV show that a ton of Americans like too. So it's a Canadian show and it's really good. And so we might lose some viewers now because they're like, that's garbage, but I love the show. So anyway.
Well, it's nice to know that a Canadian product's being so well enjoyed down in the States.
It is, for sure it is. But yes, I'm thinking about we started having a conversation about electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. And I'm looking at wanting to get next February, the Alfa Romeo Tonale hybrid vehicle will be
Nice.
available. So we started that conversation and, do you think you should go electric? Like what's happening with gas? And you guys went to an event where they were telling you kind of what the future is going to be like. And then we got on the conversation of, oil and gas in Alberta, which of course is a huge thing that we all rely on.
I just want to jump in really quick and say it was very interesting because it was a real estate event and we went to it, but they were really talking about vehicles and how the change going to hybrid, electric, all of that is actually going to change the type of houses that are being built, right? The type of homing that people are looking for, because you can go into those details as to why, because it was an entire weekend event and really talking about real estate, all of it was coming down to what's going to be happening in the car industry very quickly and how much that's going to change real estate.
We're going to get pretty Jetson pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and well, and the two things were combined. So 5G propelling all of this, and the fact that one of the things that's coming along way quicker than I think anybody realizes is driverless vehicles, and what that ultimately looks like. And so the thing that they presented, and it was the Real Estate Investment Network, RAIN. So we'll give a quick shout out to them. Great organization that Tracie and I are still members of up here in Canada. And they talked about TaaS, which is an acronym for Transportation as a Service. And the idea being that potentially sometime in the next, certainly 10 years, and with insurance becoming so expensive and all the things that go along with that, and whether or not less people will be purchasing vehicles and instead using transportation as a service, which would be driverless vehicles. So there would be driverless Uber cars and taxi cabs and lifts. And if you need a vehicle to get around somewhere, rather than hopping in your car, you would just make sure, and I'm sure it would be completely automated. So let's say if you're going to work every day, you would just automatically have this vehicle that would pick you up every day at say 7:30 and would take you to work. And for those people, like especially, I'm sure that you're there too, Diane, there's times when I wish that I had a driver to drive me around, and I actually used my son Dylan, who's working on getting his license, to drive me around for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday while I had some things to drop off and pick up for clients and various things like that. And I worked on my computer while he drove me around. Well, if we're driverless eventually, that's going to allow people, salespeople and various things like that, that kind of look at driving as a downtime, that will become more productive because of these driverless services. And so that's really what we got talking about. And then it also led into whether or not we're going to be moving full electric or hybrid, and where's the future for oil and gas and all that stuff. Anyways,
Well,
My home
people need garages.
My home inspector. Well, I was thinking need garages. Men need their man caves.
That's
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Where
But
you
they're
just
just-
go when your wife's
the last
mad
thing
at you,
they're used
right?
for is vehicles.
Right. Exactly. It's like, let me get away from these kids and all that stuff. So, I mean, so we could see houses just with men to have their own space and stuff.
That's
but
right. You could have a smaller garage.
yeah. And I mean, men like to tinker, not just on vehicles and stuff, right? Just on their projects in a workshop and all that kind of stuff. But one of my home inspectors has a Tesla, and he gets into the self-driving mode and he does his inspection reports on the way back from the houses.
Wow.
And I mean, he went up to, excuse me, Page, Arizona, or was it, I forget where it was. And he said on the way back, he just did his reports through the winding road. And I'm like, I don't know about you guys. Like, I like road trips. So will you have driverless road trip stuff? Like, what if you want to take like, there's nothing like the freedom of driving through the mountains or anywhere and being in control of that vehicle and maybe speeding a little bit. Am I telling too much? I'm telling too much.
Diane, you've never had a speeding ticket.
Right. It's the parking tickets.
It's the parking tickets.
Yeah.
Parking.
But you know what I mean?
You'll be speeding tomorrow to Santa Clara. That's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Is it Santa Ana? Santa Anita? I don't know what it is. But yeah.
Anyways, Diane was telling us before recording that she's on a bit of a girls' weekend trip to go watch horse racing on the weekend.
Yeah.
Sounds very exciting.
I've never done that. So I'll let you guys know how that is. Apparently it's like a big event and so
make sure you put down $20 for us on something.
For sure. I will. I'll text you guys the choices.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Like, I enjoy to drive and so what does that mean? And do you have two different, what does that mean in regards to insurance again? And, it's funny. I always, when you talk about driverless vehicles and stuff like that, for whatever reason, it was the movie I, Robot with Will Smith pops in where it's in the future and there's nothing but driverless vehicles and all of the highways are underground and there's these, 8-lane roads and every vehicle is going something like 200 kilometers an hour because they're all driverless. And yet Will Smith, the character, likes to be in control. And so he always switches it to manual. And of course, then, people kind of freak out because there's like this general lack of trust in humans to suddenly be able to. And
we approve that over and over again.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah. Well, especially as, as there becomes more toys and trinkets and things like that. I think they were talking about distracted driving a couple of weeks ago in Alberta, and there was somebody that was caught brushing their teeth driving from Airdrie into Calgary, and of course, the cops saw them and pulled them over. But yeah, it's putting.
Oh, you guys shake your head. See, I would go broke if I didn't do this stuff in my car. So we're allowed to be on our phones. But it's funny when Canadians come down here, like, they'll, what are you doing? And I'm like, I can do it. But as a realtor, it's pretty tough not to sit in your car and not answer calls and do all that kind of stuff. Of course, hands-free.
Hands-free is the answer to that for sure. But, if you're not necessarily fully set up to be hands-free in regards to, call Joe or call this number or something like that, then and then definitely, or else having Siri repeat your text back and stuff like that, it can be really challenging for sure.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys allowed at least red lights to look at your phone?
No,
you're not allowed to have it in your hand at all.
No.
Or $400.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I got a distracted driving ticket in Sherwood Park, and I found this out afterwards. So Sherwood Park is a community of 110,000 people immediately to the east of Edmonton, and also known as the County of Strathcona. And I was going to a realtor's office to drop off a deposit check. And I was driving, unbeknownst to me, I was on this secondary road going into this industrial area and coming up to a stop sign, and the building, which I didn't know at the time, but I know it now, was a provincial courthouse. And I was hand on the wheel here, and I had my phone in this hand, way down here, with my phone there, because I was looking at the GPS to try to find the realtor's office, which was a half a block away. I was almost there, but I stopped at the stop sign, and in the time period that I'd stopped and was about ready to hit, I suddenly got a knock on the window, and I jumped and looked over, and there was an RCMP officer, and he said, "Distracted driving, you have your phone in your hand," which, so, you got to pull around. So I had to pull around and go into the parking lot, and got my ticket and all that stuff, and then I watched to see, like, where did he even come from. And just kind of back over the shoulder here, there was a berm that was probably about 6 feet above the road, and there was a light standard, and he was leaning up against the light standard, and he could see clearly down into people's vehicles if they had their phones down below there. And if you had your phone in your hand, you got a ticket. And of course, there's only one of them. So the part that frosted me was I'm sitting there in the parking lot He's back in his vehicle back there, and all I can see is people driving up to this stop sign, every third person with their phone in their hand. But of course, he's writing me a ticket, so they're getting away scot-free. But after he was done and I watched him, I pulled out and just kind of went around. So it was about a 7-second drive to go back onto the street, and he'd already pulled over another person. So pretty much he was just nonstop.
I cannot move back home. I think about it sometimes with the stuff going on in the US with that story right there. That cemented it. No, I'd be in so much trouble. I'm still doing my makeup, but I do it without looking at the mirror on. And this is why I look like this today. Just kidding. I would be terrible about that.
Well, the makeup thing, as far as I understand, there's no, I guess maybe there is. The guy brushing his teeth was excessive. He got pulled over. But for the most part, they're just looking. And then the end of the story that I found out about that provincial courthouse is that's actually the training, like the RCMP was in there. That's actually the training area. Sherwood Park is for RCMP minor infractions. So they're training police officers to find distracted driving, speeding, red lights, all that stuff. So it's they're handing tickets out like crazy in Sherwood Park apparently, because that's where all these RCMP officers learning to handle minor infractions are learning their trade.
We don't even have the police force here to do that. I had someone throw something at my car and dent it, and the police in a rental car, and the police couldn't even go after them. They're so short-staffed here. With everything going on, a lot of officers are leaving the career, right? With all the events and stuff happening. So I'm surprised that you guys have the population to do that. Here, forget it. You can, literally, I'm not saying that Phoenix isn't safe and you don't have police presence, but we do have a shortage of officers. So you likely, infractions like driving in the HOV lane, you never get pulled over for, which is the high occupancy vehicle lane. If you have to have two people in the car. People abuse that all the time. People are on their cell phones, Well, hands-free, a lot of people are, but so what did the public feel in Canada or Alberta about the guy brushing his teeth? Did he deserve that ticket, or did everyone feel that was excessive?
I think everybody kind of shakes their head and says that's ridiculous. Because I think when you hear about somebody else doing it, it sounds ridiculous. But then at the same time, I know of other people that are suddenly doing something similar, maybe not brushing their teeth, but I think there's a lot of people that, probably the worst is people that are, especially on Highway 2, where they get caught because their hands are on the wheel here, but they're holding their phone and they're watching a movie while they're driving. Like, so they're watching it, yet they're kind of glancing up and down. Like, that's too much.
Crazy. Yeah. For the
I'm okay with it.
I was going to say there's a lot worse things that people could be doing in their cars to be distracted.
Yeah.
Like,
watching
I'm a mom with 2 kids, and I can tell you right now, as soon as you put kids in a car, that's distracted driving, no matter what you do, right? That's definitely going to distract you, having the kids in there. And I've definitely done it, like where you're handing stuff back to them and those kind of things. But brushing your teeth is going to take a few. Like, it's going to take both your hands, because where are you going to spit? Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what
if you have natural toothpaste, you don't have to spit it out.
Oh, okay. Well, there you see.
That's some planning. That's some vehicle planning. Yeah. Right?
Some people believe that you shouldn't have fluoride in your toothpaste, so you could just don't even worry about that, about spitting it out.
The Boy Scouting of toothpaste in the car is when you
I guess I just
swallow.
I guess it's just because some stuff seems so spontaneous, and it's still wrong, but it seems spontaneous. But that guy brushing his teeth, like that had to be where he actually thought, like, oh, I'm running behind. Oh, I'll catch up my time because I'll brush my teeth in the car. So does he have a, I don't know. Does he have a cup?
We probably wasn't staying at his own place that night, so he had a little travel bag.
Oh, there's
but then who packs it? So did he borrow the toothbrush? I don't know.
He brought it with him.
So that is major planning.
He wasn't staying at his own place.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Well, he must have had to get out of there pretty fast if he had to brush his teeth in the car.
Yeah, probably. Maybe somebody surprised him and came home. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
He was making a run for it. I think brushing his teeth was the least of his worries at that point.
He just took the ticket. He's glad he's alive.
Yeah, the ticket wasn't the worst of his worries.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
But Diane, you and I used to work at Kiss and Radio in Edmonton here together, and we would have people phone in with crazy stuff that people were doing in their cars as far as distracted driving. And they said they would see people that would be writing out, like writing whole things in the car. Oh, that's our puppy.
Well, you have to introduce him. Did you get a new puppy? Bring him up. Everybody wants to see.
She wants some attention here, baby.
We're not talking anything about real estate today, people, but I hope you're enjoying the conversation anyways. Let's see this gorgeous little guy.
It started with real estate. She's having a little sleep there. Hey, you want some attention, love? Devin's grabbing her.
Is he going to bring her? I'm so excited to see her.
Yeah, well, pets in a vehicle, that can be a big distraction. She's like, you're not talking about me. Oh, okay.
She's not going to make her camera debut?
No.
Oh,
She comes. Yeah.
Aw,
Oh, she's half asleep. Hey, sweetie.
cutie. That is not a puppy. You guys still call her puppy?
Yeah,
I'm expecting a puppy.
We call every dog puppy.
Okay,
she likes to sit up like a human.
I'm literally expecting a puppy. This full-grown dog comes. Adorable.
Oh,
Cute.
yeah. Yeah, we still call her puppy. She's 6
I'm like thinking, let me see the newest member of your family. It's your dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
Every dog is a puppy because they're all young at heart.
Yeah, true,
Right.
for sure.
Anyway, and so dogs, pets of all kinds are a distraction in a vehicle as well. She likes to drive.
Especially those that howl like that because they're lonely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Cute.
She likes to drive, so she always tries to sit on our lap.
Oh, cute.
And then we actually.
So can you get in trouble for that, for having a dog in your lap in Edmonton?
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you're driving, you can. That's completely distracted driving. I had a friend that got a ticket for that.
What about the passenger? If the passenger has a dog, that's fine, or?
I think that's fine. I don't think there's restrictions as to them sitting on a passenger's lap, but definitely not in the driver's seat, which is
just no animals in the bucket of the truck anymore. We're done with that those days.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't fall under distracted driving. That's just for the safety of the animals and then people too, because that happened a lot with people where they'd be riding in the back of the truck had hit its brakes, people would launch out. So
that was my whole youth in Calahoo, Alberta.
Right.
I don't know why they stopped that.
That was the average weekend for you.
Exactly. How's the market doing this week?
We're going to talk real estate. Yes. So we actually, funny enough, just last Thursday, I think we brought it up briefly because the market stats had come out. So we're definitely in a balanced market, which I find is interesting because it's on one hand, balanced markets are technically, well, they're balanced. They're kind of in a way perfect in the fact that everybody should be satisfied with what's happening. But I do find that there's, especially from the buyer side, there's some confusion going on because, they feel like, can I negotiate now? How come there's still some multiple lists happening out there? Like, it's just an interesting time period that's going on because good properties in good areas are still selling and selling quickly. And we're seeing at list and over list. And I'm certainly experiencing that with some listings. And yet at the same time, there's other properties out there that have been sitting for a while, and you've seen price reductions and opportunities for the buyers to get a good deal. The spring selling season traditionally ends once we hit the July long weekend for us, because then everybody gets into vacation mode and stuff like that. So we'll see what the summer brings, but I'm sure it'll be continued to be a bit of a slowdown compared to what we went through the first 6 months of the year.
Yeah. So the market can say something, but then what you're actually experiencing, and it happens to different neighborhoods. So that's why it's always a good idea to talk to a professional in the neighborhood and find out exactly what's going on there. Every neighborhood is different.
Absolutely. How is things down there?
Good. We have a lot more inventory. So it's great news for my buyers that have been waiting years. I'm talking years. I've had one client that waited 2 years to finally get into a property. So same thing, certain neighborhoods we're getting more inventory, but that's just across 17 cities. So there's still the neighborhoods that are really popular that you're getting multiple offers on, that houses, hardly come up. And when they do, there's going to be multiple offers and stuff. But for buyers, it's great. They've got a lot more choices, and that's great news. Our interest rates are increasing a little bit. So that's kind of knocking some buyers out of being able to qualify. But overall, most people are getting a little less house and refinancing when rates are expected to drop in the next year or so.
Yeah, we had a second, again, we talked about that last time, we had a second jump of interest rates, and they haven't necessarily suggested that that's not going to necessarily continue. So, a lot of different things going on in the marketplace, but of course, BC and Ontario have been so on fire for so long that they really are trying to slow things down. And the latest thing as well that they're talking about is potentially a housing shortage, because it's difficult we talked about that last week, but
that's okay. People might not have listened last week.
That's true. Yeah.
They can go back and get more details, but
so it's like, man, I should really watch this show from last week. It's just the potential housing shortage because there's just so few materials. I actually just checked in this morning on a property that a seller of mine wants to renovate and eventually sell. And I know that she hired the crew about a month ago. And I went in there, and pretty much all that's happened was they painted and they took the old flooring out. And it was just because they were waiting on materials. And so they're just today, they're putting the flooring in. And I know she hired them, she asked me to pop in and see what's going on. And it's just everything's delayed. They're still waiting on a couple of other things to come in.
So do you have enough manpower? It's the materials. So here we have a manpower shortage and some of supply chain issues. But I have started a second business of selling nails. So everybody contact me at,
there you go.
Can't remember her email at Gmail.
Housing nails and yes, all different kinds of nails.
Diane Nails.
Black market. Nail market.
I don't know if we necessarily have a manpower shortage. I just think it's more just the fact that everybody has the amount of people that want to do things seems to have stepped up a lot more. I mean, just because the market really came to life, and because I've never heard of anybody really getting out, like there's less contractors or anything like that. I think it's just the demand has become much bigger. But we are telling people that if they're planning on doing any type of renovation, whether for an investment or just even to improve their home, they probably are going to be waiting 4 to 6 weeks just before they can finally get somebody that's available, because they're so busy. And I'm sure that'll slow down in July and August as well.
We did have issues with our flip last year because the government was still paying money for people that could qualify to stay home from work. And so there were contractors on our fix and flip that just didn't show up. So fortunately, we had a contractor who was managing all of them. We didn't have to phone and say, where are you? Why aren't you showing up? And keep the phone calls coming. But that was an issue last year, but I haven't heard of it being an issue this year.
No.
Our new home builds my clients it took an extra year and a half. So luckily they had somewhere to stay, but prices increased so much. They ended up moving in with $150,000 equity into their new build construction. So.
Okay.
Hey, before we wrap up, exciting at the end of the month, you're on our Mogul Mastermind. What do you got planned? Can you give us any quick...
The pressure is on. The pressure's on. I'm very nervous about this. So I guess I will talk about the market here and the different opportunities. We're not going to run out of nails. And if anybody is thinking about, if your options are limited in Alberta for investing, then I would definitely encourage you to think about and listen to this Zoom we're going to have. It's going on Zoom. And, think about potentially investing in Arizona. It's also a great place for you to vacation. We don't have rain. The weather's beautiful. So not only are your trips and vacations a write-off, but you can make money while you are in Edmonton by renting out your property down here. So there's two things, short-term vacation rentals, as well as long-term rentals we're going to talk about in different investments like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we had our sales meeting yesterday at the Mogul Realty Group office, and our marketing person said again that the signups for this one have been huge. So
my gosh, I'm going to be so nervous.
Yeah, a lot of interest in because we're going to be talking about Dallas and Phoenix in the States, and then we also have somebody coming on to talk about Costa Rica. And so that's June 29th. It starts with networking at 6:30 Mountain Time, 5:30 Pacific. And the event gets going at 7 o'clock Mountain and 6 o'clock Pacific.
Excellent. So I'm going to just trash Costa Rica and Dallas as an investment opportunity.
That's right.
And say why
Take
Phoenix
them
is
down.
good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good
We're the
call.
best.
And in the meantime, how can they reach out to you, Diane?
My phone number is 602-620-2277. We're going to have it in the notes as well. And my email is can'trememberheremail@gmail.com. And I'm with Coldwell Banker Realty. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. And yeah, if you're wondering about anything about purchasing for yourself or purchasing for investment down here, I'm really happy to help.
And Devin?
Yeah, Mogul Realty Group and EXP, Devin Gray. You can reach me on email at Devin, DEVIN, at mogulrg.com. Cell is 780-951-9279.
And Toby, you can find her at Toby Love or
The puppy, the full grown puppy.
The 15-year-old puppy.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. And you can also catch the show every week. Thanks for joining us. This has been Alberta to Arizona.